Thank you, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. It wasn't my idea to be here this late. I was ready to vote to adjourn at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And I'll hush right now if you'll support an amendment to adjourn. I mean, a motion to adjourn. Let me count 29. We have these issues that come up, it seems, that are popular issues in the sight of the newspapers and the people that are touched by it, very passionate about it. But you know, it's the popular issues that really don't get the job done many times, because we sit up here and talk about God, guns, abortion, and immigration. I think at some point in time, I hope we talk about transportation and education and the things that a state legislature should be doing. You know, Christopher Columbus, when he got here, he was Italian, but he caught a ride with the Spanish. Think about that. There are two demographics that I want to mention to you. One is the number 2 group in the United States who's won the Congressional Medal of Honor are the Spanish, our Spanish citizens, Spanish Americans. Of course, we didn't recognize the black man and his heroism until the Tuskegee Airmen, and we're only now recognizing some of those posthumously that should have gotten the Congressional Medal of Honor. Now, I voted for some of your bills to restrict things like give you 6 years to be able to pass a driver's license test in English. I voted for that. I'm trying not to be monolingual. I'm trying to be bilingual. You know, you can't fix stupid. And this country is about the only monolingual country in the world that claims to be the best and the most powerful. I know it's popular, but I want to ask every one of you, if it was your child that wasn't being fed, if it was your child that didn't have an opportunity to go to a good school, if it was your child that didn't have good health care, I'd jump that fence in that river too, and you would too. What I want to do is introduce an amendment where the problem is, because I want everybody to pay taxes. Don't send it back somewhere. Pay taxes. I do. But let me say this. I don't want people abusing our services and our system. There needs to be a way, and someday they'll admit that they're not going to find 14 million people and ship them all on the bus back home. If you want to close that border, go ahead and build your fence. You might ought to get some people who are going to build it, though. What I want you to do is pass an amendment that I've introduced. If you're really serious now, if you're going to get tough, and you're going to be tough, vote for this amendment. Where the problem really is, vote for this amendment that says any person or persons who furnishes false or stolen Social Security numbers or false documentation or green cards will go to prison for 5 to 10 years. There's the problem. These people don't make the cards themselves. They buy them in a panic. Vote for that amendment if you're serious about getting tough. It's germane. Let's express ourselves. There may be some other amendments I'm going to vote for. We had a bill earlier this year. You want to put jails, you want to put people, rather than deport them, which is what they ought to do when they're caught, if they had a DUI, and if they didn't kill somebody, you want to put them in jail at a cost of $56,000 a year for a hard bed and $26,500 a year to feed them, rather than send them back. I suggest to you there's a better way, and I wish the federal government would have guts enough to do their job, to fund the Immigration Service, to do their job, and to provide a road where people can come here legally. Because let me tell you something, folks. We have imported our labor since the beginning of this country. You know, slavery wasn't a temporary jobs program. It was a horrible travesty of humanity. And then later, we abused the Chinese. And then we brought the Irish in. That's where the word ghetto came from. And if they really wanted to be fancy, they called themselves Scotch-Irish because they didn't want to be referred to as Irish. Yeah, we've looked down on just about everybody with all our noble intentions. And you tell me there's no cost. You read this bill and you follow that federal program, and you're going to have to pay something for something. You have law enforcement officers, they're going to enforce the law. Your court systems, your jails, private employers. You got private employers here that have to do that. And let me tell you something else. It was said earlier, I believe the senator from the 30th answered a question that was asked about people filling out a form. And if a business person has to fill out a form, and if they lie, they've got to swear to it, that's a felony in Georgia. You're going to make felons out of a lot of small business people. And let me tell you one other thing. If you want to, I want you to follow me on this, because this is, in addition to other things, I'm sorry, I've got a little pollen in my nose. I want you to turn to page 4 of the substitute. Look at subsection 4. And think about reading this if you were at home. A subcontractor shall not enter into any contract with a subcontractor or subcontractor unless the subcontractor registers and participates in the Federal Work Authorization Program. A subcontractor shall submit at the time of such contract an affidavit to the subcontractor or the subcontractor with whom the subcontractor has a privity of contract. In the same manner, with the same information required in paragraph 1 of this section, shall be the duty of any subcontractor to forward the receipt of any affidavit to the subcontractor, the subcontractor, or the subcontractor with who's receiving the subcontract. Let me tell you something, folks. If you can follow that, you're better than I am. Somebody's going to go to jail. I just read to you verbatim that paragraph, and I'm about ready to get through. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the time.
You going to yield for questions or no?
Sure.
All right. Senator,
I don't know it. I'll make something up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the Senator yield?
I do, Senator.
Is it not true that your amendment deals with prisons?
Yes, it does.
You further yield?
Yes, I do.
Is it not true that this bill also deals significantly with incarcerating or putting in prisons those individuals who are here legally?
Yes, those that are guilty.
Is it further not true that while the bill talks about imprisoning those individuals who are here illegally, it does not speak much to those individuals who might employ them?
Well, it does to a degree. It does to a degree. It speaks to people who are in violation of transporting people or who don't follow the rules by the subcontracting and all that sort of thing. So it does put the onus on business people to do the right thing. Now, I don't know whether incarceration is involved with that or not, but it does have penalties in it. But
does the Senator further yield?
I do.
Is it not true that prisons is a big business in the state of Georgia?
Yes, sir.
You further yield?
I do.
Is it also not true that prisons being a big business in the state of Georgia, that with the immigration and customs enforcement, that there are significant revenues associated with that?
Well, yes. Revenues or cost?
That there are significant revenues associated with immigrations and customs enforcement?
I'm sorry, I'm losing you,
Senator.
Senator.
The question. Is it not true that as a prison's facility, one would stand to benefit significantly?
I see.
As a result of immigrations and customs enforcement?
You're right. If you're talking about private prisons and for contract and leases and things like that, yes. We entered into that business.
Is it further not true that Georgia has become a place where private prisons are welcomed?
Yes, I think we've taken that on and we've made that one of our solutions. I'm not sure whether it works or not. I know that we're second only to Texas in the number of people incarcerated.
Does the Senator further yield?
I do.